with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? There's been a lot of talk over the past little bit about Avengers Doomsday. You know, there was the art that's come out. Still not sure if 100% if that's legit or not, but a lot of really interesting stuff in that art. Looked pretty cool. We already know that guys like Chris Evans is returning, but in which capacity and where and who he'll play and all kinds of stuff, don't know. There's a lot of stuff that's been coming out and been talking about. Well, there you might have seen if you've gone through the news feeds today, a bunch of higher profile outlets like Comic Book Movie and others have been running with headlines that there reportedly there have been some story details that have come out. And they run this headline: rumor, Avengers Doomsday spoilers reveal Doctor Doom's plan, Loki's role, and how Kang is replaced. Now, I am going to let you know that even though there is a question mark as to the validity of these reports and the rumors, we're going to discuss them, so they could potentially have spoilers or not at all. But I do want to give you guys that heads up that this is going to be a part of this report. So comicbookmovie.com and other outlets are quoting, I believe it's Cosmic Circus, who was originally the one who came up with it. And Comic Book Movie quoted and wrote out the following. Now, this is what they're saying is going to be the plot details. And if any of this sounds familiar, there's a reason for that. And Rob and I will talk about that in a second. Doctor Doom sets out to stop the incursions from happening, thereby avoiding a multiversal collapse. Like Thanos, he sees himself as the hero. While the Council of Kangs has obviously been dropped from a movie originally titled Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, it's not as simple as Marvel Studios swapping Kang for Doctor Doom. However, it's still a very similar story being told, and that's that the remaining heroes of the remaining worlds of the multiverse have to find a way to save their own universe, and how they'd go about doing that, even if it means the destruction of the other universes to save their own. All right. So one of the things, and it goes on in the report to say that some heroes from some of the worlds see Doctor Doom as a savior and all that kind of stuff. If any of that sounds familiar, it's because, well, that is kind of the story in the comic.
Right.
The incursions are happening. Entire universes are getting destroyed. So if an incursion is happening between two worlds, if one world can destroy the other world first, then they save their own world. There's actually this great, one of my favorite kind of conflicts in all of comics is when the heroes of our world are realizing this incursion's happening. They're like, well, we got to destroy that other world. And like Captain America's like all the Illuminati are like, it sucks, but this is what we got to do. And Captain America stands at the head of the table. It's like, F no, we don't do that. We don't cross that line. It's like him against all the other members of the Illuminati. It's really, really cool stuff. Anyway, so Rob, a report like this comes out, and I am certainly not saying that I believe, once again, I believe the source was Cosmic Circus. I'm not suggesting somebody didn't tell this to Comic Circus. I'm not saying they didn't. I'm sure somebody did. But this just basically sounds like a very vague outline to the story that's already there. Hey guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, PrizePicks. All right, guys, if you're watching basketball this season and not playing PrizePicks, you are seriously missing out. This is hands down the most fun way to get in on the action. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. You just pick more or less on at least two player stats like points, rebounds, or assists for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. It's available in more than 30 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. This week, I'm looking at the board and I'm going with Luka Doncic for more than 25 points and Jason Tatum for more than 8 rebounds. That's my lineup. Simple, quick, and way more fun to watch the games. And on top of that, PrizePicks hooks you up with awesome promos like Taco Tuesday, where you get player projections at a discount for even bigger value. So download the app today and use the code CAMPEA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right. Just play $5 and you get $50 automatically. PrizePicks. Run your game. So I don't know, what do you make of this report? Do you think it will follow the comic book story that line? Do you think it's maybe not valid? They may try to alter it. I mean, everything that the Russos and Kevin Feige have done have had a lot of alterations from the comic book stuff. How do you take this?
Well, you know, it comes supposedly originally from a very accurate scooper, you know, and that I don't know or anything like that. But I'm reading this and like you, I'm like, a lot of this is in the comics. I mean, it seemed to me like this was a lot of speculation based on the comic itself. And look, it's true. The Russo brothers went back to Ed Brubaker's Winter Soldier run, collected in an omnibus. You know, you could read it. There's a lot of stuff that they used from that. So the extrapolations here don't surprise me. There was nothing in this report that made me go, well, this is exactly going to happen this way, because you could glean all of this from reading the Secret Wars comics, Hickman's Secret Wars comics. That said, I'm like, I really would like to see this movie. You know, the way that they were, and when he said, well, when they asked him like who's in the movie, he just basically said everybody that has already been in Marvel movies in Phase 4 and Phase 5, you know, and it's not like there was any shocking revelations. Oh, and a few mutants.
Yeah.
But that's like, you could say a few mutants based on Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Yep.
You know,
you've already had them. Yeah.
You could say a few mutants based on Deadpool and Wolverine. So all of this speculation is just what is previously existing and then extrapolating from the Secret Wars comic. So I would take all of this with a grain of salt. That said, there is that artwork, wherever that came from, and it does make sense. And if they're going in this direction, I've always said, John, that every IP is one great movie away from being back on top. The Marvel Cinematic Universe needs this, and they've made 4 previously great Avengers movies. I love all 4 of the Avengers movies, and I think, as I said, Infinity War and Endgame are amazing. The Russo brothers are coming back. You have one of, I don't know if it's Marcus or McFeely that's coming back, but you've got the team in place. They know what they have to do. There's a lot at stake, and the source material is great. So I would assume that, and they're shooting next month or whatever. They start shooting.
Yeah, they start shooting soon.
So, look, I'm excited. I don't know what's going to happen.
Let me ask you this, though.
I just want to see Robert Downey Jr. as God Emperor Doom. You give me that, a lot is forgiven.
Here's a question I have. You know, one of the things that, and we've said this right from the beginning of the MCU, I've always said, like, they got to be careful that they don't cater too much and lean too inside baseball.
I agree.
Into the more fantastical elements of the comic books, because you run the risk maybe of losing some of your general audience. Even when you look at the artwork, and if you know the story of like Secret Wars, how big of a challenge is it going to be for Kevin Feige, the Russo brothers, to not go too wild comic booky and risk alienating the audience, or just like, I don't know, how big of an obstacle do you think that's going to be? Or do you think it's really not going to be that big of a challenge?
You know, I think it's a really, really good question. The one thing that I would say as a great example is when you first get to New York in Infinity War, and you put Doctor Strange, and you put the Hulk, and you put Iron Man, and you put Spider-Man, you put all these comic book characters together in the beginning of that scene fighting off the Black Order in the beginning. That was delightful. And that could have gone, you know, you got all these comic book characters. The fact that they had all those great actors that we loved those characters, though, and putting them together. I mean, they're talking about Ben and Jerry's ice cream, you know, in that they make jokes about that when the world is about to end. If they can pull that magic trick off, the real disadvantage that that these movies have is they don't have that beloved core Avengers team to fall back on. They don't have Robert Downey Jr. playing Tony Stark. They don't have Chris Evans as Captain America. You know, and the characters that they've reestablished or established since then don't have that following. We don't love them. There hasn't been, I mean, we love, everybody that we loved is gone. You know, even like the Guardians of the Galaxy, we'll get Star-Lord, but anyone else, I don't know. So they have a real issue in that those characters that they now have left do not have the audience love. However, I think what they do have, and the one thing that I thought that was interesting in these reports was they talk about Loki being the MacGuffin.
Yes.
Like,
which what we speculated on the show the other day, right? Like maybe instead of Molecule Man, that becomes more of a Loki thing.
I think that's a great, you have God Loki and you have different factions on Battle World or whatever. They all have to get to Loki. You know, and at the end, I could see some where all of the factions of whatever, who's ever fighting, all the different universes, they all get there. And Hiddleston has to make a choice. And you could give him a great, and it's Hiddleston who brings all the universes, maybe Doom and Hiddleston. I don't know. It's just, That I can
And a
get.
dancing alien.
And then, but I gotta ask, but then does Spider-Man offer him a hamburger from his pocket? A week-old hamburger from his pocket. Does he still do that?
I trust in these guys because too much is at stake. If these films aren't great, I think the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to go away for a while.
Yep.
I don't think that they're going to be able, because this is their cornerstone. This is their moneymaker. This is their Koenigsegg of the way a Koenigsegg is a supercar or a Veyron or Bugatti or something. This is it. If they screw this up, where's the MCU going to be after this?
Yeah, I mean, look, you don't want to put a lot of pressure on it. And I'll say this. I think that's more true if Avengers Doomsday was coming out next month. I think there's a chance that if, and this is a big if, Daredevil kills it the rest of the season, that Thunderbolts is awesome, Fantastic Four is awesome. If they can go into Doomsday from a real position of strength, they might be able to withstand a few bumps. But if they go into Doomsday with everything feeling kind of shaky, like let's say Thunderbolts doesn't deliver and Fantastic Four doesn't deliver. I mean, obviously they will have already shot Secret War, so that'll still come out and everything like that. But I mean, blowing Doomsday would really set them back. It would set them back a lot with the audience.
Yeah, and also Fantastic Four has to be good because Doctor Doom is so integral to the Fantastic Four. And if there isn't some kind of, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be really, look, I'm in just to see what's going to happen. You know, they're movies. It's not going to change my life. I'll be sad for a long time. But I mean, I'd like these movies to be great.
You know what? I think Thunderbolts is going to be great. The more I see, and I never would have thought that the first time they announced they were going to do a Thunderbolts movie, to which I was like, why? Why are you doing a Thunderbolts movie? Now I cannot believe it. I'm actually more excited for Thunderbolts than I am for Fantastic Four.
Is Disney going to screen anything at CinemaCon?
There are 4 slots at the CinemaCon. You know, maybe next week we'll do a full CinemaCon preview. There are 4 slots for full screenings at CinemaCon this year.
Slots.
We now know what one of them is, How to Train Your Dragon. They're screening How to Train Your Dragon 2+ months in advance. I completely believe that Thunderbolts will be one of those. I think they're going to screen, because Marvel has done full screenings at CinemaCon before. This one's going to be pretty close to the release date of Thunderbolts. I think they're going to screen Thunderbolts, not Fantastic Four or anything like that, but I do think they're going to screen Thunderbolts. And I'm still keeping my fingers crossed that DC screens Superman. But then we'll see what kind of condition we're in as we roll into Doomsday. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, most of what we're hearing out of these alleged reports is that it's pretty consistent with what's already in the comics, with the exception of the Loki stuff, obviously. How do you feel about that? Do you buy into it? What direction do you think it's going to go? How excited are you for it right now? Or are you still just trying to get built up to it? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.